get when you combine two childhood friends who have never grown up, have an unhealthy competitive streak, and always think they're the funniest people in the room? You get the Unfunniest podcast!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, now, we call this the act of mating.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Yeah, actually, we do want to scare lots of your children. This is what we always do. All right, so I've been informed that this is episode 11. I was thinking it was 12, but this is actually 11. So welcome back live from Shelby Township, Clinton Township, and live from Port Clinton, Marble Tucky, Ohio.
Yes.
Chris
Danbury Township.
Danbury Township. My apologies. That's right. I forgot about that. The one, the only, Chris Hammond. Yes. President of the worldwide headquarters, Lakeland Auto and Marine in Port Clinton, Ohio. So we are honored and privileged to have you on with us today, Chris. Thank you. Yes.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Round of applause. Yeah, Chris and I have talked about this for a couple weeks at least. Man,
2 rounds.
I was slow. I was slow on the tick.
2 rounds. You are the first guest to get 2 rounds of applause, so you should feel pretty doggone happy. He's taking a shower.
And this
He's
is for
cleaned
Jim,
up.
by the way, real quick. Yep. This is for Jim.
Oh, the awkward silence.
Did it go?
Go outside, nerd.
Get outside.
Go outside. Get yourself some meat.
It's lovely out. You should all be outside.
Hey, I waxed my head, too. How do you like it?
Man, that looks spectacular. It's very
great.
glossy.
I was going to ask if Mike actually worked on that for you.
Yeah, you did. That's actually, I think that's C-Choice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's C-Choice / Starbright. It's all the above.
We'll get into more details on that later.
That's a non-skid up there. That way it doesn't slide off.
Yeah, no, Chris and I talked about...
that's the new boat cleaning service.
Yeah, that's right. Chris and I talked about having him on, just talk about a couple different things. What we were joking about earlier today, basically saying radio for 2. We're going to be talking about boats, marine industry, trade publications, trade secrets. So anyways, yeah, I wanted to have Chris on, give a little bit of perspective into the marine industry side of things, what we're kind of doing behind the scenes. Obviously, most people see the peripheral 1,000-foot view of what's going on in the retail side of things. But so without further ado, Chris, after that wonderful introduction, I wanted to give you an opportunity. So Lakeland Auto and Marine, Port Clinton, Ohio, you are predominantly auto and marine repair shop / auto and marine parts superstore. There at the world.
We're the big lots of the marine industry.
So your dad started Lakeland Auto and Marine, right?
Yes, he did. Back in 1990.
Oh man!
So he worked for a company called Smith Automotive out of high school in 1964 when he was a junior in high school, and he knew he was going to get drafted in the military, so he enlisted in 1966 for the Air Force. So he went 4 years in the Air Force. When he came back in the Air Force, Smith kept his job, and timing and luck have a lot to do with everything.
Sure.
So I mean, skill is somewhat too. And my dad definitely has good skills.
Oh yeah.
But he will tell you that there was a guy by the name of Cy that was getting ready to retire. So when Cy retired, like in 70, he came back November of 70. So when Cy retired, like in 72, George Smith, the owner of Smith's at the time, basically coached my dad through all those years in the 1970s. And then George sold to another Smith, Ed Smith, out of Fremont. Yeah, of course it's Smith's. Right? What more popular name in a phone book other than Smith? So
name.
They claim they were no relation, but they had to be. I mean, come on, even I'm related to Adam and Eve, So, but so Ed bought in '79. Then they moved downtown where I know Mike's familiar with the area. There's a Knights of Columbus hall there now.
Yep.
That used to be a Dodge dealership, and then that was a place called Thriftland, and then it was Smith Automotive. And then my dad left in December of '89 and started Lakeland Auto. He decided he wanted to do his own thing. So we've been in business 35 years this year. And then
Did he always have it in like auto and marine, or did it
yes,
start as auto?
actually, a quick note is it was called Lakeland Auto and Marine Electric.
Oh,
So because he wanted to do, we did starter and alternator rebuilding electrical.
Hmm.
So he wanted the word electric in there because he thought that was, kind of encompass what we were doing. But when we incorporated in 1997, we dropped the electric name.
Why?
So it's just too long. It's kind of like when you have too long of an email address.
Okay.
If it's like my name, if it's Christopher at lakelandonmarine.com, I mean, you have writer's cramp by the time you do it. If you keep it short, I think it helps, So
Yeah.
he dropped the electric, and I think that was probably the right move. But we
Well,
never did work on cars. That was
You-
something we added later on.
Oh, really? So it started
No.
out as a parts supply store to begin with.
No, didn't even start that. It started out as just rebuilding starters, alternators, and carburetors, and turning brake drums and making hydraulic hoses.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But what
See,
happened?
I've learned something new today.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, but what
The
but
hard
what
hitting
happened
questions.
is
That's what we answer.
in the in the early years, he always wanted to get into parts, but it actually takes some moolah,
Yeah, right.
So he just basically, it was so funny because when we started, he had such great ideas. It's of course, you didn't have all the engines you have right now, but predominantly in the marine industry, you had Chevrolet back then, which is kind of the same now. Well, he would buy complete gasket sets, and if somebody would come in and say, "Hey, I need a set of valve cover gaskets," we just take them out of the headset and buy valve cover gaskets, shove it back in. That we didn't have all the inventory of all the stuff, so we would just kind of peel stuff out. So if you bought something from us, it looked like a flea market at first, because the box is taped and the wrappings out of it and everything. But that's how he got started. And then the first guy to come in and talk to us, basically big time, was Pat Young Service Company, and they were
They're still
servicing.
around.
Yes, well, they sold to Fisher Auto Parts in
Fisher,
2011.
yeah, right.
But they are 2009 or one of those two. But what happened is they were selling to Smith's. Well, Smith's sales started to decline a little bit. So, and then she went with Parts Plus, I think it was, or Big A, one of the big box or a buying group.
Yep.
So Federated was looking for a place, so they came and saw my dad. So that's how we got hooked up with those guys, and they've been great. They're like I say, that our sales guy then is still our sales guy now. Al. Yes.
Jeez.
He hired in, and then he was a sales guy in the 1980s when I was a little kid. So I guess to go back is probably one of your questions. How did I get started?
Me.
Yeah. Probably one of your questions is how I got started. So basically, I went to work with my dad every day. So, and he worked on cars at night. He worked on boats in the summertime at night.
Wow.
In the garage behind the house. And he did a lot of stuff, obviously, for Smiths. He ran the shop. And I was just always with him. So we go to boats, cars, trucks, all kinds of stuff. So in 1990, obviously, I just kept doing that. And then he broke me into the shop. But then my mother wanted me to go to college. My mother was, she's like, "Chris, you're not going directly into the work field force. It's not happening." And my dad's like, I need him. I got to have him. And so there was some animosity back and forth. So what I did is I split the difference.
Yeah.
And I went to BGSU Firelands for a couple of years for business management. I did not graduate, but I went there. But then
You're one of the smartest men I know.
That's why I didn't graduate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how that came to fruition there. And then in 1997, we built a new building. In 1998, I wanted to work on cars.
Right? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Where it's at now.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Right.
So my mom and dad bought that property in 1994, and the building was built in 1997. And I think we moved in. November of '97, I believe.
I've
go
got a
ahead,
question
Mark.
for you real quick, kind of while we're doing this. But so, being that I'm not in the same tax bracket as Mike and Jimmy, so I don't have a boat and not in this whole industry. But when it comes down to your seasons, obviously being here in the North, we don't have a year-round boating industry when it comes to that. But what do you see? And you've been in business long enough when it comes to repairs, when it comes to everything, is is your winter season kind of just as big when it comes to major items than it is maybe during the summer when you have a lot of maybe some smaller or some other things that you do? I'm just kind of curious that seasonality of it.
That's a very good question. So that's one of the reasons why we kind of do both where we're at in Port Clinton. See, one of the interesting things about Port Clinton is Port Clinton city limits only has about 6,000 year-round residents,
Right.
but our metro area, I call it, has grown leaps and bounds even over the last 5 years. Catawba Island, Danbury Township, Marblehead. We have all kinds of homes. We have tons of people moving in here. This is like North Carolina or Texas, only
Yeah.
colder. And they come up here, and this is where all their play toys are at. Your boats, your jet skis, your classic cars. That's why storage is so big here. But to answer your question more specifically, in the wintertime, that's why we do cars, because the car stuff is just year round.
Year round, right?
Anytime you mess with somebody's hobby,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's guns, boats, cricket, whatever you like to do, whatever you like to do, that's what you want to spend your money on. And that's what you want to do. So it's always a 3-alarm fire if you can't do that. Like, for instance, Mark, if your car broke down tonight and didn't start tomorrow, that's probably not the end of the world. You got another car, you can get another car. But if your boat that you have bills all year, you pay storage, you have maintenance, taxes, dockage, all this stuff. And if you can't use it 4th of July weekend, that is a travesty.
Well, and to accentuate your point too, Mark,
Go ahead, Mike.
So what's happened, especially in Chris's area, that Port Clinton area, the region, you can basically draw a line from Port Clinton and go to only as far east as Sandusky. And the amount of inside heated storage is probably pretty unprecedented in, I would say, the entire Midwest. That area did a phenomenal job, especially the last 10 years, of either acquiring buildings that were vacated. Actually, I guess you could go back to even 2010 during the Great Recession, when a lot of these factories, buildings got vacated. And a lot of these marine business owners were pretty smart about it. They bought these properties, they bought these buildings, or when they bought the property, they started building the buildings. So what happens is you get a lot of year-round business generated off of inside heated storage. So what used to happen was boats would go under shrink wrap, lay dormant until whatever, March, April, and then all the work would start getting produced or basically done on those boats. Now you've got boats that get put away in November and December, and it's immediate. And these business owners are smart. Chris, you know this, and we've talked about this many times. What happens is they start making checklists of things. Okay, you need a new radar. You need a new antenna. You need this fiberglass repair. The bottom paint, it looks terrible. Let's get this done while the boat's inside heated storage. Chris has done electronics, so you've really kind of started to do that too. Like, what is that doorbell ringing? Yeah, who's here?
Is that
your house, Jim?
That's Buster wanting to go outside. Sorry, I've been a distraction so far. I got eaten up alive outside. I thought it was a good idea.
Nice.
You have a dog that rings a doorbell?
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
It is 2025.
I'm next. I get trained every time I got to go to the bathroom. They ring a doorbell.
Wow.
Or I ring a doorbell. I should say. This is great. Anyways, keep going, Chris.
Oh, wow.
No, so anyways, that's to Mark's question. Yeah, so that's where the year-round generated revenue comes from now. And Chris, I mean, listen, your dad would probably attest to this, and I'm sure you could too. I mean, there used to be a lot of marine businesses that would lay off employees right after Thanksgiving, and then not bring them back until probably early March. But that doesn't even happen anymore. This revenue stream is literally all year long. So
not really. And I think the other thing I want to add here, Mike, that I think is a difference now that wasn't back in 1993 is we have a lot more bigger boats.
Oh yeah.
You got a lot of 50s and 60-foot, 49, big stuff, $1 million boats. And those boats require a lot more maintenance and care. And those customers typically have the finances to do that.
Right.
That's your heated storage customer, typically.
Yep.
And these service centers, like Mike say, are very good about this. Hey, I need an upgrade. I need my engines tuned up. I need my hull waxed. I need this done. I want my props redone.
Yeah.
And I think Mike will tell you too that most of these places that have heated storage, first of all, none of them have space that I'm aware of. They're all booked.
Full.
and they usually all the good places have a waiting list.
Correct.
And there's just droves of work,
Yep.
you know.
Well, and that's the thing that I
Yeah.
listen. I can't dictate to what people do in their businesses or what they're going to charge, but I always say, listen, all of you guys, you beat the living tar out of each other to get it. I don't want to say it's a race to the bottom, but at the end of the day, by Thanksgiving, everybody's full. Everybody's looking for extra space to put boats in. Why? Let's be fair about pricing, and let's not, basically have storage wars per se, right? It can be a profitable business, and everybody has business to be generated off of storage. So that was a very long-winded answer for Mark's question about
Yeah.
year-round
Did we answer it?
revenue. Yeah, do we answer the question, Mark, or to Chris?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very similar. I'm in the industry of I sell STEM equipment, 3D printers, laser engravers, plasma cutters to educational to all education customers from kindergarten to postgraduate college in Michigan and Indiana. And so, yeah, like you said, especially if something's down and they need it and they want it, it's no different than a school 2 weeks before final exams, and they have to have that equipment all of a sudden breaks, and we got to be out there that next day to fix it, because you can't let 25 kids twiddle their thumbs for 2 weeks when it comes down to it. So yeah, I definitely see that that sense of emergency and sense of urgency when it comes to that. Yeah.
That's the one thing that gets just a little bit of
definitely,
annoying,
yeah.
and I'm sure Mike might attest to this too. The one thing that really wears on you in this business is just the rush, bang, bang. And I get it. We're trying to help as many people as we can. I mean, today everything was next day air. I can't tell you how many times somebody said, "I got to have it." I would hate to be a shipping place at Mike's joint today. Everything is going to be red label next day air.
I did probably 3 or 4, which is a lot, even for a big distribution company like us. That's still a lot. It's
because these guys, like I say, it's a hobby. You wanna do stuff. This is what they look forward to. This is the culmination. All the money, all the time they've spent. They've waxed the boat. They've done all this stuff, the maintenance, and when something doesn't go right, it's just, oh.
This is why, and I'm not just saying this because you're with us tonight. I mean, this is why I have so much respect for what you've done, Chris, over the past probably at least minimum 5 years. But to what we've been talking about, this industry in this area in the Midwest is so short. The season is so short, and you take a customer that, like you just said, spends thousands of dollars, maintenance, repair, storage, dockage, right? Insurance, correct. You have such a short season. I mean, I'd argue if we're lucky, you get 4 months. If we're lucky. So when something goes wrong with that boat and it is down, if you tell somebody they're going to lose a week or even a weekend, it's game over. Yeah. So what we're trying to do, what Chris has really been trying to do, and we'll get to the point here in a minute, but what Chris has really been trying to do is alleviate this long-term, your boat's going to be laid up for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then that customer looks at it and goes, why? And especially the wives in the family, right? They look at it and go, why are we spending thousands of dollars investing in this boat and we lose it for a weekend, 2 weeks? So what Chris has been doing with his diagnostic software, with his, and he can touch on this too, obviously, but he's trying to drastically, and when I say drastically, I mean drastically, cut down diagnostic time to recovery, I guess is the best way to look at it, right, Chris? Just kind of going real quick about what you've been doing, especially over the past, like I said, 5 years with the Picoscope, the diagnostic software, and what exactly that you're doing to help this.
Well, in a shop environment, billable hours is always what you strive to get. And on modern technology, there's so many things that can go wrong, and everything's expensive. So we need to have good methods, and we have to have a repeatable process that one can use. So I like to use oscilloscopes, and basically what an oscilloscope is, specifically the Pico, is the one I really like to use, is it allows me to see what's going on in a circuit. So it's no different if you're trying to diagnose a speaker or I'm trying to diagnose an ignition switch. If I can see that voltage go down the line, and I can see how long it took to get there, how long it stayed there, and how long it took to ship back, that gives me a huge diagnostic advantage. And there's nothing worse than going to anything, I don't care if it's car, boat, or whatever, and just start throwing parts. and we have this new invention called Google, okay, that people
What's
love to
that?
go to. We call it GARP, Google Auto Repair. So people type into Google, hey, my car, it's got a misfire. What should I do? And they go to these forums, Facebook or whatever, and they ask these questions, and then you get 10,000 opinions.
Oh, minimum.
And then you put that on there. But you have to have a diagnostic strategy. And the joke I always tell in class is, and it's not really a joke, it's the truth. It's like, let's say you have chest pains, okay, and you walk into the emergency room. Do you want that doctor just to slit your chest open without doing any testing, any blood work, nothing, and say, you know what, Chris, your aorta, she's pretty plugged there. I think we're going to have to go ahead and bypass that. We hope that takes care of it, though.
Yeah.
I want to know
That's a
what's
good
wrong with
analogy.
it's true.
Truth, yeah.
And I want to know what's wrong without any disassembly. The goal of diagnostics is to figure out what's wrong without taking it apart.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's what I owe to my customer too. Because if we can diagnose something quickly, case in point, we had a 2018 or 2015 F-150 in the other day. Okay, now we just put exhaust manifolds on it. And I'm not trying to get in the weeds here, but this is how things go.
Yeah.
And the customer says, "Hey, Chris," or he told Ryan, our service manager, is like, "Hey, my backup camera doesn't work." Now, there's two things you never want to hear as a service manager: ever since and you people. Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, ever since you did this, this doesn't work," or you people did this, you're in trouble. Now, this customer is a great customer. He was not a jerk. We've done work for him. He just said, "Hey, it worked before." Now, we're kind of in a conundrum here. Is this something we caused, or is this something that happened?
All right.
Now, my first comment would be, sir, your vehicle's a 2015. What's the chances a 10-year-old vehicle with 135,000 miles on it only has one thing wrong with it?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be my first comment that goes in my brain. But we owe it to the customer to check this out because we could have screwed this up.
Right.
Now, it turns out, long story short, there was a broken ground wire in the tailgate. Okay, which obviously the work we didn't mess with the tailgate.
Right.
All right. But using the scope, we were able to verify that we did not have a ground to the camera module relatively quickly because we could see how that circuit works.
Yeah.
Now, our choices are we could buy a new camera for $1,152 or whatever it is. We could slam dunk that. The other choice is, put a APIM, which is the accessory protocol interface module, which is basically sync. That's the TV screen you see on your car, basically. And the Ford service information is kind of a how do I say this? It's extensive and it's an ohmmeter exercise. I mean, if I take the code that it said and I followed everything that Ford wanted me to do, first of all, I'd have to have ohmmeter leads that are 10 feet or 20 feet long because I'd have to check all these wires to and forth. A scope allows me to look and see what's going on. We were able to I was working with the technician, and I was able to.
Yeah, how many? Not to interrupt you, but how many repair facilities would do exactly what you just said? Spend $1,150 on a brand new camera,
and that's what kind of happens, And there's a the other thing is in our industry we have a and I'm just jealous that I didn't come up with this. It's called Identifix, and I'm not here to bash Identifix because we do use it. But what Identifix is, you pay a monthly service, and it's all these shops pay into this. And what it is, you can type in VIN numbers, cars, all this stuff, and I could type, like you could call me up, Mike, and say, "Hey, Chris, my car's bucking and jerking at 55 mile an hour." Okay, I could punch in 2019 Ford Explorer 3.5 EcoBoost, bucking and jerking at 55 mile an hour, and it's basically like AI. And they will come up with, and they'll say, "Hey, 49 people said you needed spark plugs, 49 shops. 26 people said it was bad gas. 11 people said it was a bad coil."
What is it, a series of deductions?
What they do is they want shops like us to post fixes. Right? They want us to, so it's basically a nationwide database. Now, this is good, okay, but here's the bad part, is it creates lazy technicians. Because what happens is you get these cars in, all of a sudden you're addicted to this subscription. So if Mark brings his car in and says, "Hey, my check engine light's on," all right, and we pull the code, it's a PO 457, small evap leak or something like that, and I punch this into Identifix, and 77 people said it needs a gas cap. Well, then I just walk up to the service counter and say, "Oh, give me a gas cap," because that's the number one thing that these guys said was the problem. You don't do any testing.
Right.
And then you slam the gas cap on the car, you send the car down the road. Guess what? You got a boomerang.
Here they
comes
come.
right back.
Right back.
And now you punch it back into Identifix. So again, not bashing them. It's got its place. But I see a lot of technicians use this as a crutch. And when you do that, you don't create. The problem is you don't do the thinking.
Yeah.
And when you don't do the thinking, go through the motions, you don't learn how it works. So back to the scope. The reason I like scoping is it allows me to see how the circuit works. And I can see it dynamically. And what I mean by that is I can see it as it's working. So almost any OEM test procedure is the machine, equipment, whatever you want, engine is going to be not in operation. It's disconnect this, ohm this, do that, do this, check this. I want to check it when it's running, you know, kind of like my doctor, you know, him and I, we go back and forth and he says, I said, you know, mechanics, we're kind of like doctors, you know, we have to diagnose. He says, well, Chris, he goes, you know what the big difference between you and me is? I said, what's that? He goes, I got to work on it while it's running.
Yeah.
Touche.
Hopefully.
I got it.
Right.
You know,
Hopefully.
you know, when you're doing open heart surgery, the person's living. You know, I'm working on your car or boat. It's probably shut off. And the worst thing that could happen, you know, I don't, well, there's a lot of bad things that could happen, but chances are it's not the end of the world. If I'm working on a human and something goes wrong, a lot of things can happen bad. But the point I want to make is whether you compare us to a doctor or something like that, it's all about repeatability and understanding the circuit. And the OEMs, a lot of them are anti-scope. I shouldn't say anti-scope. They feel technicians aren't smart enough to use one. And your best technicians, in my opinion, are utilize scopes.
Yeah.
And what I've basically tried to do is take this scope, picoscope, and apply it to the marine industry. Because to Mike's point is when you have boats that are broken or don't work or this and that, you know, and you start putting every weekend, now you're next day airing parts and the shop's not profitable because you send a technician down there. He's down there for 3-4 hours screwing around doing this. Then you got to go get parts. Now you got somebody in a vehicle, run uptown to get parts. I got to wait for Mike to deliver it, which is tomorrow, and so forth. So you have all this lost time, unbillable hours. I'd rather be, you know, take the scope down there and say, you know what, this is what's wrong.
Well, without
I can call.
Yeah,
the service manager
and without naming the specific dealers that you've done this for, or even the technicians, but how many different times over the past 2 years, especially, have you given me circumstances where you get a phone call, and this again speaks to your credibility and just how you've grown this business and really helped the industry. But how many? I mean, you're getting calls from. You're in Port Clinton, Ohio. You're 2 hours away. You've been up to the Lake St. Clair Shores, Harrison Township area. How many different times now in the past 2 years to come up and do
4 or 5?
Yeah, right. To do diagnostics on boats that they've thrown $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of parts at, and countless hours of diagnostic misrepresentation, I guess you would call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you come up and what you had one instance last year, it was 25 minutes and you're like, boom, done. I know exactly what's wrong with it. Got the boat back on the water. The customer was happy as a lark and problem solved at that point. So again, this is where we talk about getting people back. Go ahead, Mark.
With that being said, and Chris, with the methods and with what the scope and what you're doing, why aren't other repair shops kind of using this, and why are other repair shops? Is it a high cost to begin with to introduce it? Is it lack of knowledge on the repair shop side? Is it just curious?
Excellent question.
Yep.
I think I have an excellent answer. So in our industry, technicians per se are usually tasked with owning your own tools. Okay. And I'm not going to rip on Snap-on here or the tool trucks, but I am going to make this point. So one of the things about a tool truck account, whether it's Snap-on, Matco, Cornwell, whatever, is you have a truck account and they have credit. Well, a picoscope, to get everything you need, in my opinion, it's close to a $5,000 investment. And it's a little bit of work to do it. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I got to drag out a lab scope, like it's almost like I'm pulling a freaking a wagon up a hill or something." You got to practice with it. Well, a scan tool, for instance, is instant gratification, right? I can plug it in. It's got a GUI interface, graphical user interface, and it tells me codes. and maybe it'll tell me what I should do in a wiring diagram. Well, a scope, I have to have some system knowledge. And for instance, Pico, I'm not aware of any tool trucks that sell them. So most technicians, they don't have $5,000. You know,
It's
that
up to the
that's
business owner to invest, correct?
correct.
Right.
That's the hurdle, or one of the hurdles. And if they do, they want to use a scan tool, because scan tool, they look, I can use it on everything. One thing about a scope is technically it never needs updated, because all a scope is voltage over time. Guess
Mm.
what hasn't changed? Voltage over
Voltage
time.
over time.
Right. Been that way since Adam and Eve showed up. So I don't need an update for it. Now, are there updates to Pico, and do they do a nice job with features? Yes. But the nuts and bolts of the equipment does not need an update. That's an advantage. And to me, you use both, scope or scan. And this is where the technique and the knack and the experience comes in as you get older and get more used to this, is which one to grab first.
Like, with your experience, is there a specific engine that you find yourself able to diagnose quicker than others? And I guess that question would go for marine and auto.
Very good question. Yeah, one thing that is used to be is we used to have systems. What I call a system for like 10 years, or even longer. Whether it's an ignition system, an engine platform. Well, now we don't have these platforms that much longer. And there's two main drivers on why we have change in this industry. Number one is federal emissions, and
Mm.
number two is cost. Those are the two. Those are the two drivers that drive the change. And I will tell you that General Motors, for instance, so in the marine world, the stuff I work on, I don't do a lot of outboards currently. I've been getting asked more and more to do them. And it's not that I dislike outboards. I have a boat with outboards, if that tells you anything. But my experience is mostly with the car platform, and the inboard IO market is kind of an extension of that. So I would say, like a GM V8, like a Vortec 5.7, 350, 8.1s, those are the kind of mainstays in our industry, and they're still out there. I
Yeah.
mean, there are millions of them out there.
Yeah.
And the four-stroke outboard product is coming. We had a pretty interesting case study last year that a dealer really had a bunch of trouble with. Took a year to figure out, and
A year.
a year.
See,
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. A year. That
and it was-
statement right there.
And the problem is and it's not. I don't want anybody to think that I'm some kind of genius or smart. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with technique, and it's got to be you have to be disciplined. And what I mean by that is you have to have a routine. And that routine is you don't wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to check fuel pressure on this, or if you have a routine, this is what you do. I check this on every job. I do this, and that. That way you don't run into holes.
Right.
And that's one thing I try to coach these guys. You need a routine. If I get a 2018 Ford truck on my bay that doesn't start, or I get a 2024 Robalo that's got a misfire, I have a routine for that. And that's the key that I'm trying to coach these guys, so you don't run into holes. And believe me, I miss a lot of stuff. I don't want anybody to think that I am Nostradamus and diagnose everything. That's not the key.
Go ahead. Well, this you brought up a good point though when you said the key word right there was coach. So I want you to dive into a little bit as to how you've evolved now and how you are actually now employed by a tech center in Milan, Ohio, that brought you on to actually teach classes on picoscope diagnostics and diagnostic software in general. So kind of speak to that, if you would, please.
So how this got started, I guess, was we see these boats, and like Mike knows, we're lucky in our business is we do quite a bit of work for all kinds of marine businesses. We're kind of like a support service.
Correct.
More or less. Obviously we do a lot of retail, but our core business is our dealers that we're servicing stuff for. Well, I just see them getting struggle with this stuff, and I see how the OEM has them go after these problems. I'm like, we got to do something. Well, you add up, all these issues, and they have all these problems, and there's money invested, and the boat's not fixed, and the customer's mad, and you wind up in court, some of these deals. So I decided to pool together. I called all the dealers, and I partnered with some people at the school, and we came up and we did our own class. We rented eHovie, which is in Milan, Ohio.
Milan, Ohio. Yep.
hmm And we rented eHovie, and I think I did 3 2-day classes in 2023. And I didn't know.
Took off.
I never taught before in my life. I had no experience. I've had people come up to me and says, "Chris, have you had professional coaching, a presentation?" I go, "Hell
Did you
no."
teach at Harvard?
Yeah, I just I felt like I could connect with these people, and because I am a technician,
Right.
I've been there.
You can relate.
I'm still there.
Right.
Okay, so I just looked at it as like, look, we got to do something, and the number one issue we have in this industry is morale. The morale is terrible. It's blank this job, blank that job. The shop sucks. I'm not getting paid enough. I'm not this. The boats are paying. The customers are driving me nuts. It's all
Hanging upside
morale.
down in a bilge.
Yes, hot. It's 500 degrees. Boat's got to go. I want to go home. My girlfriend's calling me. My wife's calling me, and I'm late, and I'm staying till 6 o'clock, and parts are closed. The parts I got are junk. Whatever the case may be. But
Right.
and I've got
oh, go ahead.
I have to imagine too, if you don't mind me interrupting with this, that
No.
especially when you talk about morale and it comes to, you think about, I'm assuming that most of the people that you employ or in this industry are boaters, because that's one of the reasons why you get into it. You love boats, you love the engines, you love what you're doing when it comes to that. But then at the same time, it's such a small window that they are there 60 hours a week. You're there 60 hours a week, and you can't appreciate what your true love is because you are busy fixing other people's problems and what they've got to go through. I definitely can understand how that could be a major issue.
Yep.
You know what I really like about my job? This is what I tell people.
Dealing with Mike Ward.
Oh,
God,
without a
Jesus.
doubt. If I didn't have Mike, we wouldn't have any parts. We might as well just lock the door. We wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's good. What I really like about my job is instant gratification. You think of this is my pitch to a young aspiring technician or something like that. I don't care if you're a winemaker or something like that, right? That product takes for a long time. You got to get the grapes, you got to hope the stuff works. I look at it as, okay, this blank is fixed. Boat, car, tractor, whatever, or excuse me, broken. And if I can come up with a successful diagnosis, I can fix it. And I watch that car run off the driveway, or I watch that boat hang out there, or I'm sitting having a drink at a bar and I see that boat. And, hey, I overhauled that engine in that boat, or hey, look at this, we made that thing run. Or
Yep.
people want instant. Everybody, you guys are no different. You want instant gratification of what you're doing, and that's one thing that the automotive / marine repair business can give you.
Yeah.
Is instant gratification.
It's a great point.
And that's what I'm, because you walk into these shops and believe me, I've been in a lot of them, and you go in there and everybody's just got their head down, they're moping, this sucks. It does not have to be that way.
Right.
And nobody wants to go to a job like that. But to finish up the other question, I just want to bring that point up. But to finish your question, how we got this thing started is basically
Education
eHovie.
side of things. Yeah.
Yes, we end up doing these classes. And eHovie was basically, they said, we want to hire you. I said, well, I'm not looking for another job. I already work 90 hours a week at this job. I don't need a second job.
I laugh. I tell these guys, I tell him all the time, he hangs upside down in a closet like a bat to sleep. I have no idea when you sleep. But anyways.
I don't.
Yeah.
No,
and
on
we
average,
I got to get you. I got to get my. Yeah. No, go ahead, guys.
Go ahead,
I think
Jim.
Jim had a question.
It's Jimmy's turn to ask a question. Miller,
I was
shut
just trying to ask real quick. Like on average, what's the cost to take a class? I'm sure there's multiple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this year we've been increasing the class lengths. We started out with a 2-day class, then it went 3. This year we did a 4. And people write in the thing they want more. I can't believe it. Who wants more training? We get these guys writing the evaluations. Man, this needs to be 5 days, or this is way too much information in 4 days, or whatever. So I think we're going to do a 5-day basic class this year. But to answer your question, it's $500 for 5 days, which is free.
Wow.
And if you're a legitimate,
they're motivated. So
if you're a legitimate business that doesn't have any problems with Mike DeWine as far as the taxes are in the state, one of the reasons I went to the eHovie is Ohio has what they call tech cred. And I went through all the hoops, and we got our classes tech cred certified, which means the cost of the class, the business gets that fee back. Now, you don't get the hourly wage that you paid the technician. You have to prove that you paid the technician or the employee. But you'll get that back, and the school gets a little stipend, I think, on it too. So that's one of the reasons. That's what they told me. Like, Chris, you can continue to rent eHobie. We don't have a problem with that. But if you go under our wing, okay, now, which that opened up some more doors for me because, like, for instance, since they're a Mercury and a Yamaha a training provider, that allowed me access to that information, which is key. Because the other problem we have in off-highway industries is we don't have information. Cars, we have the Right to Repair Act, which means you guys, any of you guys, whatever car you're driving, you can go to that OEM website, you can get all the information, tools, tech, all that stuff. You can buy the scanner. Off-highway stuff, John Deere, Mercury, Yami, all that stuff.
Off-highway, you're saying?
Off-highway, there's no law. And OEMs can keep all that stuff.
Interesting.
So that
that's
makes
the big
it more.
difference.
Yes.
Now, have you
could Congress change that possibly?
Have you gotten any apples from your students? Asking for a friend.
Listen,
sure.
He reads some of these reviews to me. I mean, it's incredible to me the positive reviews that you're getting off of these classes. And not only listen, you and I talk about it all the time, and I'm not just saying this again because you're on here, but when I travel to dealer to dealer to dealer, and I get feedback from those people that are going to your classes, and these guys give you rave reviews to me on a one-on-one, that is absolutely phenomenal. That's
awesome.
Yeah, that kind of feedback that I get on a day-to-day basis that I'm talking to these guys, that again leads so much credence to what you're doing and how you're helping the industry. And I know you get a lot of flack, like you said earlier, about some of these guys that don't believe in it or they think it's voodoo, which is incredibly stupid to me. But I think the more and more that the word starts to spread throughout the industry from these repair technicians as to what you're doing, how you're teaching them. And then, again, they want to come back. They want more training, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. They actually want more training. So they're coming back. And then the business owners that are sending and investing them into this training want to continue to do that. So, yeah, I think it's just phenomenal.
I appreciate those comments, Mike. And I never thought that this would turn into this. And one thing I will tell you is one of my goals that once this thing got started is I think Mike will attest to this. A lot of these marine businesses, they hate their competition. The animosity is just ridiculous. And it's not that way in the automotive industry, to my knowledge. But, one of the things this has done, and it's funny because I'll get a call from a customer or a shop A or shop B or something like that. Because it was funny. I was telling Mike, I'm taking about 2 to 3 tech calls a day. With scopes and diag, which I don't mind. So
they have a direct line to you. Is that correct?
Just call my cell phone. That's why I got the Burger King earpiece in, and I just go through and
burner phone.
Yes, burner phone. Yeah.
BK Lounge.
But what we're doing is we're creating a network, and I don't know who said this. One of you guys is smarter than me to know is we are smarter as one, as a group than we are as one.
Right.
And what I think is good is I took a call from 2 different technicians at one dealership today on 2 totally separate jobs, and they're all networking together. Like he talked to the lead technician, hey, why don't you give Chris a call on that? And he had the scope and that's fine. I think that's great because I want those guys to think, hey, I got somebody I can talk to.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a counselor or anything. I don't want this to be, the trust tree or the nest or whatever with Will Ferrell, but I just sometimes you need to talk to somebody. And I can tell you, I have that friend network. And this is what I tell people. One of the best things about going to any training, I don't care if it's sales training or boat training or whatever, is the networking. That is the most underestimated positive to any training event, because you know what? When you go to training, there's somebody might be sitting right next to you. He's got the same drive. He's got the same passion that you do. And you know what? You take his phone number.
Yep.
It's kind of like a mechanic Tinder. You get his phone number, and mechanic you talk to him.
Tinder. I love it.
I just made that up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You should trademark that immediately.
But you can, some of my best friends in the industry are people I met by going to training.
Yeah.
I got people in Minnesota, all over the country, and
you're traveling. Hell, you were in Vancouver 3 weeks ago.
I was in Edmonton.
I'm sorry, Edmonton. Yeah, during the Stanley Cup final too, for that matter.
Yes, God, what a great town. But we went up there and I was asked from the Automotive Engine Builders Association, which I'm also doing some stuff for too. And I did a presentation on Picoscope on how to identify engine mechanical failures. Because again,
Was that more automotive or marine? That was more
that was automotive, yeah,
automotive.
trucks.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
did some
thought.
diesel stuff.
Yep.
But that's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to create a group, a network of people that they can reach out because this stuff is complicated.
Yeah.
And there's enough work for everybody.
So,
And
all right. So now we're going to give you a chance to plug. So, let's say you have an aspiring technician that wants to attend one of your training sessions. Where do they go for that information? Now, you don't have the schedule out for the fall yet. Is that
I
correct?
don't. I haven't sat down and done anything. In fact, they just brought me my contract today to sign
Oh, wow.
for the 25-26 school year, which I did sign. Okay. They actually drove it out to me and had me sign it. But probably the best place is our Facebook page, Lakeland Auto and Marine, or EHOVY Career Center.
Okay.
I don't think EHOVY's put them on their website. By the way, if you do want to plug, I actually rolled out a couple of do-it-yourselfer classes last year, which were
for the retail,
this
right?
year. Yes.
Yes.
We took 18 people, which is the max our room can take. The people loved it. We had people from Virginia, Tennessee, Michigan.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
All over the place. And we took these live engines and we showed do-it-yourselfers how to do simple stuff and familiarize them with their engine.
Oh, Lord. Amateur diagnostics.
Yeah. And this is how I worded it.
That's what
I
usually do on
just
the
everyone else. We're gonna
weekends.
have links, and
Yeah, I'll give you a link, but right now
we'll put links to everything
probably
there. Yeah.
But the school, technically, I'm considered customized training. So customized training isn't really in their curriculum. Now, the do-it-yourselfer classes, that was considered special interest. So that went in the magazine, and they bloviated on Facebook and Instagram and all the socials and stuff. That kind of got, and I spread it on all the Facebook groups that I follow. That's how that went. Because I also feel do-it-yourselfers need something. And I had so many people coming up to me after class. I'm like, God, this was awesome. I mean, I didn't think anything like this would exist.
Right.
Because you know how I learned how to do stuff? Just like I told you, it seems like 3 hours ago. I started by watching my dad and doing stuff. The problem today is, and no offense to you guys, what can you guys do on your own vehicles? Nothing.
No, I usually call you.
Put gas in it.
And
my windshield washer fluid's low.
Listen.
Yeah, washer fluid's.
Yeah, Father's Day morning.
We got it done, though.
Oh, I know we did. That was Romo.
But the key here is we lose that general knowledge. How to hold a screwdriver, how to righty tighty, lefty loosey. I know that sounds corny, but back 30 years ago, most people, I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people did their own brakes. They did their own. Now, some of these cars, you got to have a scan tool to release the rear brake calipers to do just brake pads. So you took brake pads out of the realm.
Yeah.
So we lose that general knowledge. That's why technicians are such in high demand, because we need, you think about mechanics. I just want to make this other point. I know I got 30 points here, it seems like. Maybe 40. But
or 60.
Think about what it takes to be a mechanic. There's science in gasoline. There's physics.
Sure.
There's mathematics. There's chemistry, right? I mean, burning gas is a chemical reaction.
That's four things that I have a very limited knowledge of.
Electric.
Miller on the other
hand
over here, Mr.
Electricity.
Chemist himself.
Yeah, magnetism. So you add all this stuff up, and that's what you have to have a somewhat of a little bit of knowledge of all these things to be a successful technician. So it's a strenuous job. I love my job. I wish everybody could have as much fun as I do. It's a lot of work, but I feel really good.
You never sleep.
All right.
That's why I'm 100. Everybody's like, "Do you drink coffee?" I'm like, "Nope."
I have an
he doesn't.
I have an extreme important question.
What?
This is an important question that has to be answered right now. Important question. How big of a dump was the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium? That's the question I really need to ask.
It was not a dump at all. That was the most character building gorgeous in my viewpoint. Chris would probably agree with me on that.
Oh,
Oh, dude.
I was at the last game in December, right after 10 minutes after I left, they fired Bill Belichick. I have, in my mom and dad's house, I still
Smart
have
move.
2 seats out of the dog pound,
Yes.
and I got the tickets somewhere.
You
because
do have,
there
you
were
have the
people-
tickets still?
Somewhere. I think my
Oh,
mom's
man.
got them. She brought it to me the other day. She's like, "Ah, Chris, I got these tickets." I'm like, "Don't throw those out." I think it was the Oilers. I think they played. I can't remember.
Was it the Oil? I don't remember who it was.
This is
I
30
was not
years
the
ago,
last-
Mike. This is
Well,
1995.
dude, that's
I was
crazy.
a senior in high school.
Yeah, that's incredible to me. These new cookie cutter, we've talked about this before. These new cookie cutter stadiums, whatever. I mean, the Cleveland Browns Stadium looks like Heinz Field, looks like Lincoln Financial Field, looks like, I mean, Ford Field, I guess up here in Detroit is one of the only ones that probably has any distinct characteristics that kind of make it separate from all the other ones, that or Texas Stadium, whatever. But what they're talking about, the new Brook Park.
And I tell you what,
Go ahead,
you
Mark.
talk about stadiums. Yeah. No, I was going to say, you talk about the stadiums, and when you compare the new Cleveland Stadium and you compare Ford Field, relatively, they're about the same. I think Cleveland seats about 68,000, 69,000, and Ford Field's at about
68.
64,000, give or take, depending on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, depending on that small difference, when you sit in the upper deck at Cleveland's at the Brown Stadium, you are feeling like you're 10 miles away. We sat at the press box we sat at the press box in Ford Field a couple of weeks ago. You really do feel like you're almost on top of the field as well. You have such a great vantage point. It's such a weird difference, that such a small amount, but just how it's done. There's not a bad seat at Ford Field. Everything is, you got a great seat everywhere you sit.
Well, it's a dome for one. Chris and I, being the staunch Browns fans that we are,
that's a smart one.
I guess this is going to happen. I mean, the Haslams just finished, I think, yesterday, right?
I saw that.
The acquisition of the property in Brook Park. So that is going to be a multifaceted.
Maybe we can take one of our 14 quarterbacks and we can pawn them off for a state.
Yeah. I thought we had 15.
We got more quarterbacks than offensive linemen.
I know. Shador, what's his face?
Speeding Ticket Sanders?
Yeah, right. Jeez, Pete. I don't understand it, but
Speedy.
So that looks like the Brook Park thing is going to happen. But yeah, back to Mark's original question about the old Cleveland Stadium.
Oh,
I loved it, man. That's where Bernie played.
I was just going to say,
I never saw a baseball game there. I only saw football games there. I think you saw baseball games there. I didn't.
All right, so Mark and I talked about this earlier today, and we talked about it a couple times. We've got a goal to basically make a list of who we want to interview. You were one of them, Chris, so you should feel pretty proud about that.
Yes.
So you're going to have to play second fiddle to number 19, because I am going to reach out to Bernie Kosar and see if we can't get him on this thing. I probably will cry. I will probably literally have tears streaming down my face, and I'll have my 19 jersey on and everything. I can't wait. If he actually comes on here, listen, I'll be speechless for at least for 2 seconds anyway.
So you got to do what you rarely do. You just got to kiss his ASS. I just do it.
Oh, I Seriously. Will too. I'll tell him, man. You were my idol. I idolized you.
I'm a nobody. Icon. You're an everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. Like just be relentless.
Yeah, exactly.
Bernie's just a Cleveland guy.
You talk about
stayed in town.
Yeah.
You got some lag.
Well, he's totally a Cleveland guy. I mean, listen, he worked the system even back in '85. He worked the system, the NFL auxiliary draft, to basically be able to be drafted by the Browns. He wanted to go back to Cleveland, and then after he went back to Cleveland, that obviously, the city admired him for that. Then he started winning, and he went to 3 AFC championship games, that close to the Super Bowl. He's still an icon. Chris, you can speak to this. He's still an icon in the city. I mean, people,
without a doubt,
he's a hero still to this day, 40 years later.
Probably more than LeBron, because LeBron left.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
No.
Don't even talk to me
about
Even though LeBron
got
James.
us a world championship, Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie's, kind of like Jim Thome, maybe a little bit, Sandy Alomar.
Yeah. Right.
Tito to some respect. Now Tito's doing well in Cincinnati, but
Mark Price, Brad Doherty.
Mhm.
I want to start. I saw
Hey,
a
you
picture
see-
from the
Cavs signed Larry Nance Jr. I saw just before I came on here with you guys. 1-year deal.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, just
Oh, I
10
did not
seconds
see
before we
that.
got on.
Oh, wow.
So I always liked him.
Yeah.
Larry, that we had. That's what we need. I feel like we need.
A little
the Cavs.
nostalgic.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just need something. Cleveland needs something to be happy about. And all we look forward to is these sports teams. And I'm an Ohio guy like you are, and I'm all Ohio sports,
Yep.
whether it's Ohio State or anything. I cheer my own turf. But it's just with Cleveland, we get so close. The Indians, 94. I thought that was the year, and then the strike, that struck out our chance. And I think we would have won the World Series.
We were literally one strike away from winning the World Series.
That was 97 against the Marlins.
97.
Poof.
Yeah. Gone.
That went done. Remember Jarrett Wright had that Game 7 start? Had a pretty good start for a rookie.
Yeah.
And then Mesa, and look at Class A now. All of a sudden, he can't get anybody out.
Dude. Miller, I told you we were going to go back to old school Cleveland style here. You're going to have to take you're really going to, yeah.
Well,
Tigers.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on the 94 Indians team, because to me the 94 Expos probably were the ones even harder up than the Indians were. The Expos, when you consider everyone they had on that team, that would have been a heck of a world. Oh yeah, they had Martinez. You had Vladimir Guerrero. You had a lot of those, a lot of guys on there. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know the Expos. I didn't have a passport, so I didn't watch them.
Yeah. And you had Cliff Floyd. You had Will Cordero. You had Marquise Grissom, Moises Alou, Larry Walker.
I was going to say Moises
pitching,
Alou.
You had Pedro Martinez. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you had it was incredible. They had the best record in baseball that year, and it would be in the strike.
94. Yeah,
they were 74 and 40. I think it was.
That was the inaugural season for the. That was the inaugural season for the Jake too, if I'm not mistaken. Right, 94. Or was it 95?
Yeah.
Boy, now we got Jacobs Field.
I think it was.
I think it was 94. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was. Yeah, we're going Sunday.
I
mean, it's great to see.
We got to go to that one game.
Yeah. It's great to see what, Mark?
So you said you're going to the game this Sunday? The Tigers Guardians game this Sunday?
Tigers. Yep, LSU Tigers versus the Guardians.
That's
Massillon Tigers. It's the Massillon
Tigers. Yeah, that's right.
Man, Detroit looks.
Well,
man, they got the bats.
I'm looking at the standings
pitching
right now. The Guardians.
We're going.
I think
down.
it's the opposite. They have the pitching. I think it's going to have the bats. 11 Guardians going into, or we're currently are 11 and a half games. They're in second place, 11 and a half games behind the Tigers, who are still.
Okay, so they
have the best record in baseball.
I don't think they're going to do it.
They're not good. Okay, so the Indians have Guardians, whatever. They have to go, I believe, 55 and 23 the second half of the season. The Tigers would have to play 500 baseball. If you look at the Indians, Guardians, run differential right now, they're what, negative 47, if I'm not mistaken? I can't fathom how they would turn it around. Not to say that it can't be done, but I don't foresee that happening. Not with that type of negative run differential. No, it's not going to happen. Not with that kind of run differential.
Have you seen our schedule for July?
No, it's brutal.
Oh,
it's brutal.
Oh, and we got Tim. As soon as they bring Tim Herron in, Miles just walk everybody. He can't get anybody out.
He can't get anybody out, right?
Here comes 3 walks. Class A. He might strike some. We don't have an everyday center fielder. We don't have an everyday right fielder. We don't have an every. He keeps screwing with. I think Vogt's okay. I'm not bitching Vogt here, but I think you got to have some solidification in the lineup. You can't. He loves this lefty righty stuff, and he plays this game all the time.
Yeah, he's messing with the lineup too much. I think
way too much. I think.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to pay as much attention to them. Obviously, being
me neither. I'm just bits and pieces. I'm like you. I look at my phone. I get updates there, and I'm like, what are we doing? I have not. I'm lying to you. The only time I watch them is we go over to my father-in-law's house, He's a staunch Guardians Indians fan, whatever you want to call it. And I watched a game Sunday when we were over there Saturday. That's actually the first complete game I've watched.
You
with my own
watched?
eyes.
Yeah, yeah, that's about me too. I don't think I've watched a complete game. Tigers or
No.
Indians, Guardians, Spiders, Miller, Spiders. This
That's
season.
a great name. Admit it. The Spiders would have been a great name.
Hey,
Oh, the Spiders would have been phenomenal. I would have.
Cleveland, we have Spider.
Huh?
We have Donovan Mitchell. He's Spider.
Oh, gee.
Is
Yeah,
there
you
something to
already
do with
got-
Charlotte's Web?
Yeah.
And your daughter, Charlotte? Is there a connection here, Mark?
Yep, Charlotte's Web. Yeah, exactly.
No, they
So,
were originally the
I think-
Spiders.
well, yeah,
back
sure.
in what?
No, I mean, it originally were Spiders,
Spiders, yeah.
early
right.
1900s. Yeah, and
See, I
I
learned
think it
something.
has
I
to do
didn't
with
know
some
that.
type of
I didn't know
trademark.
that
Is
either.
probably why they couldn't get it. Yeah.
Okay,
they were the
so I
Spiders
gotta-
initially, then they changed over to the Indians.
I gotta give Chris another a big pat on the back because last year he real quick, Zach was your 1st
Mhm.
employee that you hired after you
That
took
I
over
hired.
after you took
Yes.
over for your dad, correct? You bought
Yes,
the business.
I hired
for your
him
dad.
in 2014, and I
Yep.
bought the business in 2015. But he was my first official hire. Yes.
So what Chris did, to his credit, everything we've talked about, morale and everything else, Zach is a huge, even though he lives down there, he's a huge Tigers fan. So Chris foot the bill for a suite at Comerica Park for what was there, 20 of us, 25 of us, something like that?
Something like that. 20. I got his entire family,
Yep.
and
Becky and
no
I.
offense, Mike, we had a couple of tickets left, so I said, "Hey, Mike, I know you live up here in
Yeah.
north of the border here, so
You wanna go- you want to?
why don't you?" Actually, it was a total surprise. He had
He
no
had
blanking
no
clue.
idea. It was so cool because I was there for the surprise, and he came in and just
That's
to see
awesome.
his
No idea.
face. Yeah, he had no idea. It
We
was
picked him up in a limo.
yeah.
You know, we pull up to his house. So his wife was in. Haley's so great. She was so into this, and it was funny. People would have thought we were having an affair. All the texting and phone calls back and forth, getting this all set up, and we pulled into his house. She had it set up where it was just going to be like a double date thing or double day thing with some of their good friends,
Yeah.
Jordan and Sarah. And we pull in this limo, and he has no idea who's inside of it. You know, he's like, you can see his face, and I'm in there, and he gets in. And he sees like half work people, half his friends, a buddy his that lives in Western Ohio. And he's just looking. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Just keep your mouth shut." So we pull out of his driveway. We're going down a road. And then Haley's texting me, Zach's wife, like, "Hey, Chris," he's asking, do you want me to tell him? I said, "No, let him simmer." Because he has no idea where we're going. Why this weird
Route
group
2
of people.
to I-75 North, driving an hour and a half.
Then he gets on 75. He's thinking, okay, where are we going? So then I finally said, we're just going to go to a Tigers game or whatever. He goes, "Well, what's this for?" I said, "Well, it's your 10-year work anniversary." I'm like, "Oh." So the rest is
That's
history. It
Yeah, that
couldn't
was-
have been better.
Dude, that
And
was
we
a-
actually got a double header because
Oh,
there was
that's
a
right, it
rain
was
out
a
or something
doubleheader.
the day before.
So we got a free doubleheader in the suite. It was, I mean, they just kept feeding us. They kept feeding us drinks.
Oh,
By the end of the,
we
by
had
the
our
end
own
of the
personal
evening.
waiter, waitress. They come in. I mean, they were in there like every 5 minutes. "Need anything? You need any chips?" We bought the unlimited hot dogs.
Yeah.
Then
This
there
is
was some other.
Park. You're talking to two Indians fans, and you got Zach, who's a Tigers fan, and here we
Oh,
are.
it's huge Tigers.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So Mark and I
actually
are
what I
going to
wanted
get
to
you our
do-
numbers before the end of the night. So
Yeah, that's
Not a
right.
problem. We aren't hiring right now, Jim. Sorry, but there may be an opening soon.
You need a
so
janitor
in case there
or
is.
anything? I mean,
Yeah.
nothing?
Sorry, say that again.
I said janitor. I mean, I'm good at switching out garbage bags.
Cleaning the
you know,
floors.
name it. Yeah.
I'm real big on morale, and I think things like that will pay back
Huge.
tenfold. When you have
Mhm.
good people like I feel we have, my goal is, one of the two hardest things to do being a businessman that I'm trying to figure out here is acquiring and retaining help. Those are the two
Talent.
hardest things to do.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
you do something like that, you show appreciation, something like that. And the other thing I'll tell you, I'll give away some of my secrets here, is you always include the family.
Yeah.
So whether they have a significant other, their kids, you include them. If you do something individually, because I'll tell you, the key to a guy's heart, this is going to sound corny, is the wife or the girlfriend. Because if I ask an employee, hey, I need you to stay after, I need you to do this, the wife, oh, come on, really? But it's like, oh, you know what? He kind of takes care of you a little bit
Yeah.
here. Oh, okay.
Well, again, not to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but going to 150 different dealers that I have, not every single one of them is a repair shop, but you talk about morale and the way that your guys get along and the way that your guys smile is pretty cool. It's pretty neat. And you could tell as a business owner, you take care of your employees. And I give you a lot of credit for that. And I think you deserve all of the credence that goes along with that too, because that's pretty neat. It's something that you do not see a lot.
It's a simple saying: if you take care of your employees will take care of your customers.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And they'll understand it. And I do it for two reasons. I bloviate a little bit about it because it's also a good recruiting tool.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Right.
like I don't mind telling like this. I don't mind saying it out here, to your 10 million followers or something, because you know what, there might be somebody out there's like, you know what, I'm a mechanic and I need a job or I need something, because you never know what's going to happen. Owning a business is a lot of fun, can be a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
And you
Mhm.
always got to have your radar on, 24 hours a day. Radar's got to be on. You always got to be paying attention. You always got to have, I have a list. But you know what? We have good people. I feel like I've worked hard to get those people and to
Yeah.
try to develop them. We have a pretty young staff. I think our average age is in the mid-30s. Look at our guys in the shop.
Yeah, your
I
guys are
think
pretty young.
Al's older than me. I think he's older. Everybody else in their 30s.
Well, and this is again why I wanted to have you on, because I feel like there is a lot of questions out there, because I feel those questions. And let's face it, I mean, if we do have some people that watch this podcast and they have questions and they are looking for that extra advantage, that extra edge to get them up above and beyond, to let them stand out. This is why I wanted to have you on. I want them to see you. I want them to be able to relate with you and then be able to reach out to you and advance their education in the technician, the diagnostics. So that's why I think this is pretty neat. So
No, I appreciate it, and it's
yeah.
interesting. And like I say, we get such. I think we're number 2 on the crap list, right? Lawyers are the worst hated group, and mechanics I think are number 2. So not trust.
You
Yeah,
said
I
right
saw that
about
somewhere. Not.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah. Who do you not trust the most? Lawyers are 1. I think mechanics are 2.
Used car
So,
salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a close third. But that's what I'm saying. We need to do, is an industry. We have an industry problem. A lot of my close industry friends, we talk about this because I don't know. And these younger generations, it's not all about money.
No.
Throwing money at the problem doesn't fix the problem.
Nope.
So
Does not well, and again, not to go into a long dissertation, but I do that. I guess this is a phrase of the millennials / Gen, whatever the heck it is, but work-life balance,
Mhm.
of which you don't have very much of.
I just have a
That's
work balance.
your own choice. Yeah. Where's Julie?
She's
But-
coaching cheer tonight. Yeah.
Is she really? Yeah. Well, she works her tail end off too.
Oh.
So, but this is what a lot of these people are looking for. It's not just technicians and service people. It's across all industries. People are looking for that work-life balance. They don't want to necessarily work 90 hours a week. They want to be. What did you say earlier? You have to cater to the wives, right, or the girlfriends. They want
That's
to
the
be
key.
able to. Yeah.
That's the key.
Yep.
If I'm Mike's boss, I'm getting to Becky.
That's right.
That's how you figure this out. You got to get to the significant other.
Well, she would
that's
tell
the
me to get
key.
me out of the house even more, even though I'm never home, but nonetheless.
I just think it's a big deal. Does it cost a lot of money? Yeah, but you know what? I just feel that it shows appreciation to our folks, and I think when things, because not every day is great, and I think those days that you struggle or you have things that don't go your way, it just kind of like, you know what? You kind of take a step back and you think, it's like, you know what? Things are going to be okay. We're going to figure this out.
All right, Miller.
Because that's the deal.
Sorry, Chris.
No, you're good.
You made me think about something that Miller brought up today, that he had a very traumatic experience at the Miller household this morning, or in the last 24 hours. What has transpired at the Miller home in the last 24 hours?
I'm going to show the culprit here of what happened.
We've got
give me a
visuals.
second here.
Hang on, Chris.
Well,
We've
not
got
of the
visuals.
scene.
Is this film
We're
at
not
11? What
that
is
kind
this?
of. So here is the culprit sitting in a car seat, because that's where he sits in my car when Charlotte's not there, because that's where he feels like he has to sit. He is a rat terrier. And a couple years ago, he pulled in a bird when he was a little more svelte and was able to catch a bird. He's about 6 years old now. This morning, he comes up to the door with something in his mouth, and he won't let me see it. I have to grab it out of his mouth. Turns out it is a newborn baby bunny that he killed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I hope Becky's
Dog's
not
fast.
listening to this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what he's bred to do. He's a rat terrier. So he's bred to find these little things, all the squeaker toys, everything like that. But then, okay, clean that up. We get outside a little later this afternoon. I'm with him. I take 2 seconds, turn around, come back. He comes into the house, into the back room. And I'm like, Kirby, what do you got? He found a second one.
What?
So he's found the burrow,
2
the
dead
little
bunnies?
bunny nest. 2 dead newborn bunnies from
He's
this.
a
Look at that.
serial
Look at
killer.
that face. Look at that face. He is so guilty right there. He's a killer too, as you can tell. But that gives, so that, we've all kind of had, Jimmy, I know you got the dogs, Mike, you've had dogs and everything, but coming into the house, we've had some funny things happen. Casey, our shepherd we used to have, she pinned a possum to a fence when we lived in Warren and put it up on the fence. And I never heard a bark like that before in my life. But have any of the dogs, and Jimmy, I know you probably have, brought any weird presents into the house?
Yeah. I've been thinking all day ever since you texted me about this, and I really can't think of anything. I mean, they go out and harass squirrels, and the squirrels just go up the tree, and then they end up talking trash to each other, you can tell. But, I mean, my old dog Kyle, I think he found a squirrel and maybe a bird here or there, but nothing that he brought in the house. But I'm trying to find a picture here, but keep going.
No skunks? Our dogs get skunks.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kirby's gotten skunked twice in the last couple of years. So,
Oakley chases, Oakley will chase bunny rabbits, and he's come precariously close to getting one before, but he's never got one. And then he'll chase squirrels. He's not as fast as a squirrel, obviously. But he'll get at that back door, man, and you let him out, and he takes off. Listen, for a pug, he's got some bunny rabbit in him. Because number one, he's got a vertical like I've never seen from a pug before. And then he's got some serious speed too, where he can almost catch the bunny rabbit. Can't catch the squirrels, but he's come close.
It's like one of our dogs caught a bunny, I think, but I think she let him go because we're dog people too, and where we live, there's a pond that's not maintained, is the words I'll use. So it's kind of grown up. So there's all kinds of varmints and coyotes and
association.
Yes, that's my 4th job that you didn't. We'll save that for the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm invited back on again, we'll talk homeowners. And Mike's a homeowner association guy now. So
I know, yeah.
Mike's a lot of things. Mike's a pain in the rear end, everything else. But there's one thing that Mike always has, and he's always does. And here it is.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Mike's Rant of the Week. And now, here is Mike with his rant.
Thank you, Kathleen.
So Mike, speaking of all this, what's your rant this week?
So this, once again, it's all of my rants, Chris, I'm sure you've heard some of them, do seem to revolve around automobile driving. These wonderful people. And as usual, of course, my biggest pet peeve is the left lane driver. Probably a close second, I guess, would be the speed up, slow down. Speed up, slow down. I am a very staunch user of cruise control. So I'll set my cruise at 75 to 80, something like that. And then here comes the guy flying by you at 90 miles an hour. Only 2 seconds later, go back down to 65. And he's behind you. Then all of a sudden, here he comes up again. You're like, what in the world are you doing? Then he'll speed up past you 90 miles an hour, pull over in front of you, and slow down. So now all of a sudden, you got to take your cruise control off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guy gets back in the left lane, speeds back up again, slows all the way back. And then you're looking at him, you're like, what are you doing? And they look at you like, I have no idea why you're getting upset, sir. So
Yeah, or
yes.
they're on their phone. One of the two.
Oh.
The one.
Exactly. Correct. Exactly. Keep going or set your cruise control. Yeah. See, I'm not the crazy one. Other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So speaking of, I'll bring this up really quick. So Ohio now has, and I don't understand why they're putting them in the right median, but there are now signs, brand new, yellow across the top, state law. No, I think it says no left lane for passing only. So again, yes, though most of them are pretty new. I don't know why they're not putting them in the left median. They're in the right median where the left lane habitual drivers can't necessarily see them, but they're there now. So it's now Ohio has officially made it, and maybe it was a state law prior, but now there's signs up. State law, left lane for passing only. Yep. So you left lane drivers, get the hell out of the left lane.
Hey, Chris, I just came up with a weird notice that for some reason it's not recording on your computer. So I'm gonna hit remove, and then you just got to log right back in, and you can come right back in. So give me 1 second here. Yeah.
You mean Chris was not there?
So he had an issue. Apparently there was an issue with memory on his computer, and so it needed to exit out and come back in.
Oh.
He had mentioned that he was out of memory and stuff. So he's going to join us right back in. So just to make sure we get everything there.
Did it record most of his stuff?
Yeah. Just in the last 30 seconds is all. The only thing I had a problem with. But no, I agree with that, Mike. I get so sick of driving, and you pass somebody, and then they pass you, and the back and forth, and then if you're trying to
slow
get
down,
by,
speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. 90, 60, 50.
There we go. Chris is back.
Hey, Chris Hammond, welcome
there you go.
to
You're
the
back.
party.
Welcome back.
Don't get a new computer. Memory's not that important.
Yeah.
I don't. What'd you say? Oh, that memory. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about some of the sports. We talked about some of the things there. What was a new, and Chris, you actually mentioned about some of the NBA signings and things like that, but there was another NBA news. And I'm seeing if I can bring this up right now. Hopefully they didn't lock it on me. Malik Beasley from the Pistons, who is now under investigation by the FBI and all of these others because.
Did you hear about that, Chris?
No.
Yeah.
Just came out late yesterday.
Yeah. So he is being investigated for wire fraud, gambling, and prop bets they noticed some inconsistencies.
Oh.
So Detroit News kind of went through a little bit more into it. He signed a 1-year, $6 million contract with the Pistons this year. And as of right now, he has $8 million in outstanding debt just in this area to a celebrity barber, a dentist, a landlord, a lender, and a marketing firm. So he has had his paychecks confiscated to be able to pay off debt that he has.
Garnishing his wages.
In fact,
garnishing his wages.
Garnishing his wages. He has made $56 million in his career. And to the point where he has problems. And I think this is now about the third NBA player you've seen, but I can't imagine you're going to see this more often when it comes to this, especially guys that aren't necessarily stars. And obviously this sounds like, I hate this. This guy sounds like he has a problem when it comes to gambling and other issues, and probably doesn't have the right management with him, but
right.
That's true.
It's insane, especially the way gambling's peripheral, whatever. It's everywhere nowadays.
Proliferated.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's so
in
easy.
Ohio, you guys have everything there too, right? The online.
Yeah, and I think the problem is these guys, they get all this money, they come up from, families with little or no education. They don't know how to deal with all this stuff. And
right.
The problem is these people will attach themselves to these newly rich people, and they trust them, and then they bleed them out.
Mm-hmm.
They get,
Yeah, because it's easy. A little bit of sports talk radio today. You get people calling in and just obliterating the guy, and it's easy to do from sitting behind either a phone or a computer. But to your point, you just made a great point. These kids come up in severely underfunded, undereducated families, and they just have no idea. Because again, I think it's easy to say, how can you do that? How can you blow that kind of money? How can you risk making that kind of money by gambling? But to what Mark said, it's obviously it's an addiction. It's a problem. They don't know how to manage it, and it gets to a point where this is where we're at now with Malik Beasley. I mean, it's sad. It really is sad. I don't want to pass judgment on the kid, guy. But yeah, it's unfortunate to say the least.
Well, yeah, it's got to be an addiction. And it is an addiction. And like you said, most of these families, they probably come up from poor families, and they get this large amount of money. And what's the first thing you want to do?
Take care of their family, mom, or whatever.
And it's like, wow, it's probably an incredible feeling, to say at the least. And then you just can't stop. You just keep going and going and give them everything that they wanted, everything that they dreamt of. But yeah,
I think maybe the organizations, whether it's an NBA team or NFL team, whatever, I think, not to sound all governmental here, but I think that they should have somebody on staff that kind of coaches these people. It should be a paid position.
They do.
I would think they do.
I
mean, they have ethics committees, right?
Counselors,
when they come into the league, they have to they have a mandatory orientation to the league. And it's a couple of weeks long, where they go and they sit and they talk to financial managers. They have ex-players come in and talk to them. But it's the whole fact of, and this was all the sports, but it's never going to happen to me. I'm better than that. I got better people around me than all these other people do. You talk about your hero, Mike. Look what happened to Bernie.
Yeah.
His dad.
Yep.
Yeah. He was taken advantage of by his family, of all people, his own family. Yeah. Right. I mean, you want to talk about something that really strikes home. That's a slap in the face and then some. But I mean, look at JMO from the Lions last year. I mean, again, I think if you look at his situation, he was not betting on the Lions. I don't think he was betting on the NFL. He was betting on other baseball, NBA, whatever. But he was doing it.
The only problem.
Yeah, he was in the building, which, again, I think that they have these counselors that are teaching these guys, you can't do this. For some reason, he decided to do it. But that is clearly not to the level that Malik Beasley is now facing the situation that he's in. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's bad, man. I feel bad. That's
yeah. I think it's horrible. They go through, they get taken advantage of. And it sounds like, after reading some of this article, he made some bad decisions, got involved with some of the wrong people. There's a lot. In fact, I got to get the article out and I'll send it out. But Major League Baseball is going through an issue, and some of these others where they've got these predatory guys who essentially loan minor league players money based upon, and then they get it based upon their projected income. One of the guys is from Padres right now, and I'm drawing a blank on who his name is. Got about $1 million or $2 million, and now he has to repay $3 million because of this. Now he's also signed a $200 million contract, so $3 million is nothing to do.
Nothing
but,
to him, right?
It's a gamble. These guys are giving them money based upon what potential future earnings. They're going to lose a lot more than they win, but it's that they want the car. Kids want the cars. They want the jewelry. They want everything right away. And now with NILs and everything else you're seeing, and money that now high schoolers are going to get eventually here. It's insane the amount of the realistic money. I mean, you talked about, think about how many lottery winners go broke and have problems. It's because what professional athletes do in a lot of cases, they hit the lottery. And it's no different than a lottery winner who doesn't have experience and they just got a check for $100 million when it comes down to that. No, it's crazy. And one last thing too, Mike, we talked about, for anybody that hasn't known Mike and I, one of the things that we are looking at doing, we're trying to talk to some people. So if anyone is still listening to us now through this, Mike and I are trying to get into start working with some high school games in the fall.
We lost Chris.
So Mike and I are working at trying to, and Jimmy, about doing some broadcasting for high school sports. So one of the cool things, here comes Chris again. State champs here in Michigan, one of the largest when it comes to the high school sports promotions, high school sports viewership, basically reporting. Mike, you just noticed this, that Channel 4 and them, they're going to put over 50 plus live high school games starting this fall. And I think that's pretty incredible.
WDIV Local 4 has partnered with State Champs Sports Network, which is going to expand their coverage of high school sports in Metro Detroit, including more than 50 live game broadcasts. So what Mark and I were talking about, Chris and Jim, is I think what's happening is, and Cleveland's the same way, and it's all pay for play, pay for views, whether it's the Red Wings, whether it's the Cavs, the Pistons, whoever. So I think what's going to happen is you're getting the local broadcasts that are going to start going into high school, which I think is awesome. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing better than high school basketball, high school football, whether it's girls or boys,
organic,
baseball, whatever. Yeah, right. Exactly. So high school sports are where passion, talent, and community come together. WDIV Vice President and General Manager Bob Ellis said, when you want to be the best, the State Champs Sports Network is the best in Southeast Michigan. And this partnership allows us to elevate that experience for families, fans, and athletes throughout Metro Detroit and beyond. So again, starting this fall, Local 4 viewers will get an expanded live game coverage, which is, again, this is awesome. Highlights and exclusive behind-the-scenes content from schools across Southeast Michigan. It'll be available on air, online, via streaming, and through their social media platforms. So this is, again, I think this is absolutely awesome.
So what's great about this is I think obviously being on television, it's going to get student sections involved again.
Yes.
I think it's going to have a comeback. I really do.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I've been advocating for.
And it's going to be a little somewhat fake at first, but once you get students there that haven't been involved, they're going to be like, all right, this is an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, this is the NBC station in Metro Detroit that's going to have a live broadcast from a high school football game, from a high school basketball game. Jimmy, that's a great point. I think this is going to be spectacular. I would challenge
all schools that are going to be on this. Who can be the loudest?
Yes.
Yes.
Bingo, baby. I love it. That's a great point, Jim.
I don't have a gift yet, but we're going to come up with one, and it's going to.
You have plenty of gifts.
It's going to be a wild card, Jimmy the Wild Card T-shirt. Let him talk.
Yeah. Miller will wash your car for you.
Miller Car Wash,
and Chris will diagnose it.
Yep.
Yes.
You got water on the electronics.
Michael, let you
and
do
Miller in a mankini.
Oh no! Oh, that is not something we want to see. God help us all.
Is he Doc Belmont too?
Here we go.
Yeah, so that's going to start. That's going to start this fall. So I'm assuming with football,
football,
Friday
basketball,
Night Lights, which would be which is going to just. I am so excited about this.
That seriously pumps me up when I heard that.
It totally does.
Hey, Mike, are you still going to do some announcing this fall and stuff, even though your kids are all out of school now? Or
I am. They've asked me to. They've asked me to come back, so I'm.
Nice.
I'm absolutely going to do that. Yeah, I've got too much of a passion for it not to. Well, like Mark said too, I think what we're going to try to do is incorporate some actual our own amateur live play-by-play broadcasting from different sporting events, whether it be high school football, basketball, whatever it might be. So, yes, this is our freelance on the weekends on a Friday night. Doesn't interfere with our quote-unquote real careers by any stretch of the imagination. So instead of sitting around,
it's that time of year when it starts to wind down for you anyway. So
yeah, I mean, listen, people always say, well, how do you find the time? Well, I don't watch TV. I don't sit around and relax. Yeah. You especially don't.
What's TV?
But what's TV? Yeah. Did you watch that series? No, I haven't watched a TV series in
just Cobra
10
Kai.
years.
I'm in Cobra
Kai. That's right. Cobra Kai. Chris hold on, I'll tell you that really quick too. So I have no idea where in the world you found time to watch Cobra Kai, but he got me into Cobra Kai last fall.
Good stuff.
And he totally got me addicted to it.
That's awesome.
Mostly because he wanted Elizabeth's shoe.
Awesome
Oh, look at him.
All right, I gotta leave. I'll be back. Oh, okay.
Sorry, Julie. I didn't mean to bring up Elizabeth Shue on the podcast here.
Yep.
Ooh.
But
Give him
yeah,
12
Chris
seconds.
totally turned me on to that.
I need a couple minutes. Maybe longer. Actually, it's gonna take that long.
Well,
we got to watch her and Tom Cruise in whatchamacallit? Cocktail.
Cocktail.
Yeah. You remember that, Mark?
oh yeah.
You remember that beach scene?
That's the first CD I owned.
That
Oh,
and
the soundtrack.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, I was just gonna say the Adventures of the Baby.
Adventures in Babysitting. That was Elizabeth Shue.
I don't know. Her best. I like Cocktail. I tell you, the best
That
one
blonde
was the
curly
one
hair.
with Nicolas Cage.
Leaving Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure for one reason alone.
I thought I remember when that movie came out, I thought that was like the sequel to Honeymoon in Vegas. I'm like, because it came right after when Nicolas Cage was in both of them. I'm
Right.
like, okay, so he got married, now he's leaving. No, that's a wow.
1995,
Not
He was
a
in
comedy
both?
whatsoever.
Oh yeah, he was in both. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris.
I was
Go
going to say, I definitely, my crush started with Karate Kid with her, and then the Adventures in Babysitting. She did a phenomenal job in that.
I
movie.
don't
think
remember
that's what
watching that. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Oh, you're gonna have to watch it. Yeah, you'll fall in love with her all over again
Oh.
if that's possible.
It's not.
You know
but
what,
I will.
Jimmy? You know what we need, Jimmy, is we need a sticker of Mike's face with the word phenomenal over the top of it.
With an F.
That's what we
Phenomenal
need.
with an
When
F.
you know when it's something great, it's phenomenal. That's Mike's catchword right there when it comes to it. But
Like, I'm pretty sure I personally still need babysitting as I'm 39 years old, so she would be first on my list.
Hey, she's
Yeah.
61 years old. She can be my babysitter anytime.
She looks
So-
great still
Oh.
to this day.
Chris, we really want to thank you for coming on tonight. I think that honestly, it is really good to hear about a lot of these things. A lot of the things that I don't, because I'm not as handy when it comes to it, kind of learning what you guys do, what kind of goes through it there. Really appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing everything
Hey,
with us.
thanks for having me. I had a great time. I didn't realize we were 3 hours long. It just flew by.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
I'm gonna plug you again just because again
Yeah.
I admire so much of what you're doing, and I'm not just saying that. I think what you're doing for our industry, for our trade, is absolutely spectacular. Don't stop, please. Don't stop. Keep it going. You're going to get even more followers. You're going to get even more people attending your classes. I think this is going to expand far beyond even your wildest dreams. And at the end of the day, I always say this, and I just said it to the condo association that I just joined. At the end of the day, the goal in our industry is to get more people on the water, and it's about getting more people involved in the sport and not leaving because they can't get their boats diagnosed and they lose half their summer, even if it's just one weekend. So please keep doing what you're doing, man. I admire you tremendously for it. And like Mark said, thank you so much for coming. We're going to have him back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come back, Chris.
And
If you want me
just
back, I'll be
little
back.
plug. Yeah, a little plug for next week. Not that we didn't enjoy you, Chris, but we have a very special guest
Hang
that's
on,
gonna be
Miller.
coming on
I
next
just
week.
want to say.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Jim's got something to say.
Oh,
Hang on.
we're not. Oh, wait, we weren't done. Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank Chris as well. For what it's worth, I mean, my brother speaks very highly of you, and it was great to meet you. And the 133 minutes that we got to hear you talk, and just your passion. Seriously, just seeing your expressions and everything. It's awesome to see, and
Cool.
just the cutting edge technology that you've come up with in your teaching. So thanks again, and it's nice meeting you. And
Yeah, same here.
hopefully,
The only guy I knew walking into
meet
this
you in
was Mike,
person.
so this worked out perfect.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having
Yeah.
me, guys. I enjoy the banner. I like the sports talk, and
Yeah.
and thanks for allowing me to bloviate a little bit. So I appreciate it.
yeah.
Oh, what have we got
Absolutely.
up here, Miller?
And
All right,
not-
go ahead,
it-
Miller. Sorry.
And
Looks like
Chris, not
somebody
that
to
we
Ford
didn't
Edge.
appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming on. We're going to have a special guest next week. Many people call him Sebastian, call him the Cart Narc. We call him Agent Sebastian.
Yes.
And for those aren't familiar with his work, here's just a short little clip.
The word goes when I leave it.
Oh, well,
What the fuck if you like it or not? Fuck you.
no, not after me.
Put it on my car, and I'll break your fucking face.
You're too old to do that, sir. The point is,
Here, about your point.
why don't you want to have a polite? Why are you spitting on your own car? My problem is you left the car out. But that's the whole point. Is you should care about your fellow shotter. Well, why not? Did someone hurt you at some point in your life? Well, you are an a-hole. Sorry, sir. Wouldn't you hate it if you were sitting around?
Why don't you make me take that car?
No, see, that's my problem. That's not my problem. My mission. My mission. Why don't you make me put that car? My mission is to help. You just asked me to. My mission is to help you find within your to take. Sir.
Uh-oh.
You fell for the thing.
It's getting caught up.
Must be that Comcast internet, that Michigan internet.
Yeah.
What if you did that, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I'm serious.
So
we're excited to have him on next week.
So he's coming on?
It's going to be hilarious.
He's coming on, yeah.
I
had no idea. So I had
Agent
no
Sebastian,
idea.
the cart narc.
Yeah. So I went on, I do this weekly rant thing. So I don't know if you saw, that was one of my first ones about the cart
I saw it.
People. Yeah. So then I did the whole 10-second video of, look, this is how long it takes to actually put a cart back in the cart corral.
I saw that.
Well, so your Johnny sent me a link to him because Johnny watched me and my rant. Yeah. So your Johnny sent it to me. He's like, Mike, you got to check this out. This goes right along with your rant. So I watched this and I sent it to Mark and Jim. I'm like, dude, this is an actual thing. This guy chases people down. This is absolutely so cool. So Mark, to his credit, reached out to him.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, he's been on Dr. He's got like 1.4 million followers, this guy. So I had no idea he even existed. So we're going to have him on. And
that's cool. I'm glad he's doing
You
this.
sent that to me and I was just dying laughing. Everybody's looking at me like, what's going on? And I just instantly forwarded it. But
Mike's
I'm
got
going
a
to call
field
this
day
out
with this
right
guy.
now.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be an intense, out of control podcast by far.
I want some of his magnets.
So
he wears a bulletproof vest.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's probably worried something.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people who do something like that.
Oh,
he got a gun pulled on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's got, it says Agent Sebastian, cart narc. Yeah. So
where's he at? Where's he from?
We're at California.
Where he's from California. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sacramento, California. But we come an hour and a half, so appreciate it again, Chris. So
thank you, guys.
Chris, you get the award. You get the award for the longest podcast so far.
Yeah.
Cart guy's probably going to beat me.
It's 4th of July coming up. What's special? I think the three of us, Mike, Jimmy, and I, we know we're going to be out on the boat, and hopefully Fun Miller's not out. And Chris, what about yourself? What big plans you got for the day off? Which hopefully
you know what? We aren't
off.
working Friday and Saturday, and I plan on boating. I got some friends. My in-laws are coming up, and I know we're going to the Guardians, Indians, whatever you want to call them, on Sunday. And I hope to do at least some boating Friday, Saturday. I got a boat. I haven't used much, so I need to do that.
What kind of boat you got, Chris?
I have a 272 Robalo 2024.
Robalo.
Yes.
God, we just saw a ton of those.
Yes.
Last week.
Bought it from.
I told you, Chris.
I'll give you a plug. Happy Days Boating, Port Clinton, Ohio.
Happy Days Boating
is your local Robalo dealer. They were absolutely phenomenal, to use Mike Ward's words. It was roll out the red carpet from sale to delivery. I couldn't be happier. I love the boat. Twin Yamaha 250s. The thing's a rocket.
Awesome boat.
It takes the water. We had a 21 Key West, which was a great boat. Bought that from Catawba Moorings back in 2015. That served us well. I got almost every dime out of it that I had in it, literally. But we were kind of going to get out of boating, and then I looked. I said, I got the same problem Mike has. My daughter's only got one more year in school. She's just a year behind. I'm like, we got to do something, because we're going to be empty nesters here in about 2.5 seconds. If I don't do something now, it's over. So went back and jumped back into boating. But yeah, that's what I plan on doing. I'm glad you guys are doing stuff good too. But
yeah,
heck yeah.
And Mike, Mike and Jimmy, are we going to do a short live in-person broadcast of the podcast on Friday?
Well, we keep teasing that because we were going to do it from Kaylee's graduation this past Saturday.
Yeah, that was a little out of hand.
Probably we did not do it.
Should do one from a boat. You got to do one from Mike's boat or something.
Yeah, we've talked about doing that.
At the marina. Right there in the little pavilion set up back there.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to talk about that.
We need to do it before or after, or when we're on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Come up with one and just
we're going to film content. Absolutely.
Do it now.
Because you got all winter to stay inside.
Yeah.
Believe me.
So
I love hibernation.
No, we appreciate it. Appreciate everything here. Now, but now we got this last piece. Want to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you guys again for everything. We got our 1 minute. So, for some reason I can't hear anything. So you guys, can you hear the music?
I got it.
Hear anything? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I can't hear it on my end, but no big deal. But thanks again, everybody.
Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you guys.
Like and share.
Thanks, Chris.
Happy 4th.
Yeah. Happy 4th of July.
Absolutely, everybody.
Next year's a big one. 250 years, right?
Oh, yeah. Holy cow, that's crazy.
Thanks,
all right,
everybody.
Have a great week. Have a great 4th of July. Thanks again for Chris coming on. And
thanks for having me.
We'll see everybody with the Cart Narc next week.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
Take
be
care,
safe.
everybody. See ya.
Have a good one.